In this video, I'm going to be covering one big indirect factor that you might not even know about, but it's stopping your fat loss. Let's go through it today, guys.
Mama, I made it the force. Look, Mama, I made it the force.
What's up, guys? Today I'm going to cover that one indirect factor that can be super huge, and it is the thing that's halting your fat loss. And you might not even know you're doing it. But, hold up. Where you been, AP? It's been an entire year. You haven't put out a YouTube video. You've been rarely on the IG. Like, where you been? You used to post 3 times a day on Instagram, put out YouTube videos almost every day. You've been doing podcasts. Like, what the hell happened to you? Did you die? I've been living underneath the rock, guys. No, but in all seriousness, I want you to stick around to the end of this video because I'm going to teach you so you know if you've been working super hard and you haven't been getting results, this could be that thing that is finally going to get you the results. But first, let's just get caught up. So the entire last year, Kaylee and I, my girlfriend, we actually sold everything. And then we bought this travel trailer, this RV, and we remodeled the entire thing. It was a DIY, make it all cute like Pinterest and shit, you know? But we did that, and then we just started going wherever. We didn't know where we were gonna go, but we ended up exploring almost all lower 48 states in the US. And I could not recommend it more to anyone who has the opportunity to work online or to work 2 or 3 months out of the year, go travel for a little bit, come back, whatever it is. I strongly recommend it because there's so much out there, and we only went through the US, and we wanna go to Europe or we wanna go overseas to different countries. But you get to experience different climates, different cultures, different food, different types of people. You meet so many different types of people that it really round you as a person. You become more grateful of what you have or what you don't have. And so I just want to get caught up. That's what we've been doing. We just closed on this place here in Scottsdale, Arizona. I know I got this boards of coffee and wine. We got it fully furnished, so I got to do some rearranging. I know the lighting's not the best with the shadows right here and the audio maybe. I don't care because the main thing I think too many coaches focus on is, oh, is it look perfect? This, and this. It's like, for you guys, I feel like the quality of content that's actually going to help you guys is most important. So we're going to get this rolling. I just want to get this going. And as time goes on, I'm going to fix some things, make it look nicer for you guys so it's all pretty to watch. But yeah, so anyway, that's just what's been going on with me. I'd love to hear what's been going on with you guys. The guys have been still following me, watching this video, saying, hey, AP's back. And the new people that are coming in saying, who the hell is this guy? Why is he so excited sitting at this table with these weird signs behind his head and whatever, right? But yeah, so my name is Austin Paulson. Who don't know me, I'm the owner of AP Performance. Let me go on my IG is Austin Paulson Fitness. I've worked with over thousands and thousands of clients now, helping with nutritional, fitness, workout, supplemental, even endocrinology kind of stuff, hormonal stuff. I coach general population with their fat loss, muscle gain. I coach competitors going to a show. I coach athletes working on, you know, high school or college or whatever it is. I work with pretty much any demographic. So if you're like a female that's 50 plus, maybe you've gone through menopause, work with you. If a guy's like getting low T because he's 60 years old and he just wants to feel better again, I've worked with him. I've worked with young guys in their 20s just trying to feel more confident about themselves. I've worked with literally anyone that comes to mind. If you're watching this video, I probably worked with you. If you have questions about why you haven't been getting the results that you're looking for, go ahead and reach out to me. I love talking to people all day long, and I'm super excited. I know I have so much energy right now, but I'm super excited because I have been so just variable over the last year where I don't have a consistent environment, which was a challenge actually for myself for personal growth because I'm such a routine person. Because you'll see this will be the same backdrop, the same stuff, same style of video going forward. It's just how I like it because I know I have a routine and a schedule. That's just how I am. But anyways, yeah, reach out to me. I'd love to answer questions, make YouTube videos about them, IG posts, whatever it is. I like to do polls. Yeah, so this is what you've been waiting for. Enough rambling on AP. But the one big indirect factor that is stopping fat loss, and I learned this very hugely with clients over the last year. And if you're a coach and you're watching this too, you can apply this to your clients because they might not be, you might not know what's going on, and you might keep cutting carbs, or you keep cutting calories in general, and they're still not getting the results that you're proposing or looking for, as well as they're not happy with the results. But yeah, if you're somebody who's dieting, and we all know the basic principles of, say, your calorie intake, and if you're not there, I probably have some videos on my channel of how to calculate macros or learning about calories themselves to put yourself in what's called a caloric deficit, or the thing that we need in order to lose body weight in total, but body fat. Okay, so the indirect factor though, let's backtrack. Let's go over the direct factor, which is the calories in, right? So let's say that, I'm gonna write on the board here, I got a small board, but let's say that, I don't know, you, to maintain your body weight, right? And you're like, I don't know, 170 pounds, 160 pounds, 180, whatever it is, for your current situation where your hormones are currently regulating. Let's say that you're like 180 pounds, male, and this is gonna be a low calorie intake for this guy. But let's say that it takes 2,500 calories to sustain 180 pounds, which is not correct, but I'm making an example here. So let's say 2,500 calories to sustain weight, okay? 180 pound male, 2,500 calories to sustain a body weight. Now, what we want to do, obviously maybe you've learned from other videos or my videos, we want to make sure we're in a caloric deficit or putting ourselves lower than that 2,500 calories, right? So let's say that we eat 2,000 calories a day, and it'll put us in a 500 calorie deficit per day, right? And you add that up over the week, and that'll be your weekly deficit, okay? So this is gonna be a deficit, 500 cal. Okay, so 500 calorie deficit, right? So that's like the math, the direct factors that you have calculated because you've been taught, okay, we gotta be at a caloric deficit. I know that I need about 2,500 calories to sustain body weight. Now I'm gonna eat 2,000, so I start losing body weight, losing body fat. Now, that's like a simple direct factor. Now I know there's a lot of variables that go into that, your activity level, your training, how much volume you're doing, your genetics, I mean, just all these different variables. But let's just make this simple because I want to get to this indirect factor that you might not be thinking about, okay? So in order that this calorie intake needs to be measured, right? And so what we're going to use, or what people use, there's different ways, but one simple, well-known one is like MyFitnessPal, a tracker app, whether it's, I think it's called MyPlate or something, MyFitnessPal. I actually have my own software for my clients so that I can see on my end what they're doing, okay? Now, you're gonna use a tracker app, right? To make sure that what you're putting in your mouth is correlated to, or not correlated, but it is trying to make it the absolute value of that 2,000 calorie intake, right? So now this is where the problem comes into play. And this is that indirect factor because not a lot, but I've experienced now where I see it on my end, as well as the client sees it on their end, where they're hitting 2,000 calories a day, or and essentially relatively being in that caloric deficit, right? So they should be losing weight. Now, and if they're healthy, their hormones are healthy, everything is just regular, but it's just they should be in that deficit to lose weight. Now, they don't lose weight though. Why could that be? And I will give you an example because this actually happened to myself when I've been dieting, and I fixed it. But let's say that you are tracking, right? And let's say that you have options. They have a list of like chicken, and you have like different burgers, and you have like whatever it is. Oh, banana is one in there. So you have like this list within that tracking apps, correct? Now I always tell clients to try and use the barcode scanner if it offers it to know exactly what is in, or what's the nutrition label say on the package that you're eating from matches what is in the tracker, right? Now, some of the stuff though, when you're eating, say for example, there's a lot of discrepancy out there. I feel like with chicken, there's pre-cooked, post-cooked, same with beef, same with like in the trackers, I've noticed that a banana, in my tracker, it'll say small, medium, large, or it'll give you the option for the serving size of 1 gram, 100 grams, so have you, right? And then you get to choose from that. Well, this is where the indirect factors come into play, is you might think that you're in a caloric deficit, because at the end of the day, that bottom column says you hit your macros spot on. It's like, 200 grams of protein, 200 grams of carbs, and like 60 grams of fat, whatever it is, and you see that it says that you hit those macros perfectly. But that's what it says by your human interaction of tracking, right? And within that, there is margin of error of your measurements of tracking. So what is being said on the tracker might not be the reality of how much you ate. And that's what's going into this indirect factor, is because, like I said, let's say, I don't know the exact numbers, but let's say that you have a banana. I know this happens on my app a lot. And you choose, it's a small banana, right? Small banana. And let's say that it has 0 protein, or, we'll just say easy numbers here, 0 protein, 0 fat, but it has like 15 grams of carbs. Okay, 15 grams of carbs, right? And let's say though that you have a banana and you say it's small, but it's really not the relative carb intake that you think you're eating. Maybe if you, this is why we need to put everything on a food scale or a form of direct measurement rather than just relative measurements of small, medium, large. What does that mean, right? It's like the moon is large to us, but relative to the sun, it's small, right? So that's relative measurements. So we need exact measurements, meaning if we have a banana, we eat 100 grams, or we'll say like even a weird number, we'll say 123 grams. I noticed that like bananas, I don't know. We'll say like we eat, the serving size is 123 grams that we ate on the food scale, okay? And in that tracker app, it offers a 100 gram serving size. So that means that what we put in for the amount of servings that we had is 1.23 servings, okay? Servings. 1.23 servings, so that we know we tracked this 123 grams, and that's like 32 grams of carbs. If I can write. 32 grams of carbs. Well, that small banana that you thought was small, which was a relative measurement, now we put on a food scale and it's 123 grams and it's 32 grams of carbs. And I don't know these exact numbers, I'm just giving an example. But that means that you just had an extra 17 grams of carbs that you're not accounting for within the reality of your caloric intake. Now that might not seem like a lot, but an extra 15 grams for within one meal, think about that over 5 meals that you have in a day, or 4 or 7 or whatever the hell you want for how many meals you want. But think about that margin of error adds up over time, and it goes over by day, and then by 2 days, and then by a week, you've had maybe an extra 200-300 grams of carbs that you're not accounting for, and you're wondering, why am I not losing weight? Well, we might think that we're in a caloric deficit, it might show it in the tracker, but the way that we're measuring things is not accurate. And that is an indirect thing that could be halting your fat loss, is we are not using the correct exact measurements in order to hit our daily macro intake. This is a huge common thing, as well as another indirect thing that might play a role in that is we know that we need exact measurements, and we went over the human error of measuring, but also there is the error of our measuring device, if you want to call it, which is the food scale itself, right? Now there's margin of error within that, because what it's doing is being pressed against that surface. So what you notice is it might measure different if you have a hard surface. The hardness of the surface needs to be pushing back up on the scale, versus if you were using it on like a couch, like a soft surface. It's not gonna project the same measurement, right? So we need to be measuring on a hard, consistent surface every time we measure, but as well as sometimes the calibration within the food scales themselves goes to shit. And an example of that is when I started dieting, before I started dieting at the tip of my off season, you want to call it, my gaining phase, I noticed that all of a sudden for like a month straight, I started gaining at a rapid rate, like of 2, almost 3 pounds a week. And I'm like, this is not what I want. What the heck's going on? And then we turned things around and started trying to diet, and I wasn't losing weight. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm hitting these macros perfectly. I am tracking in the app, I went through all the human error stuff I just explained to you guys. I know what I'm doing because I eliminated food choices and made it very simple to make sure I hit those macros. Well, all of a sudden it was one night when I was with Kaylee and I started measuring out like 6 ounces of chicken that I was gonna eat, right? And I had this plate, it was like this big, and I measured out 6 ounces and it filled up like the entire plate. And I started eating it and I was like so full by the time I was eating at the end of the 6 ounces of chicken. It was only 6 ounces for me, that's not very much. I can eat like 12. So I was so full, I didn't even want to finish it. And I knew that my body fat was a little higher, so maybe I wasn't as hungry. But relatively speaking, like 6 ounces is not that much for me. And so luckily, I had another food scale, and I went and I took what I thought was 6 ounces on this food scale. I went on and put on the other food scale, and it was like, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like 10 plus ounces of chicken, and it was crazy. That's almost a double the amount of a serving that I was having, double amount of macros, everything. So that amount of caloric value or macronutrient value was not equated within the equation that I was trying to use in order to diet. So that means that I was not in a caloric deficit, which explains why I wasn't losing weight. So before you go and you start blaming your hormones and all this crazy shit, like, you need to understand that we have to eliminate variables one by one of making sure that the level of error within trying to get to that deficit is all micromanaged first before you start jumping to conclusions of crazy, oh, my thyroid is destroyed, or metabolism is destroyed. Like, all that stuff is all just feedback loops and relativity within what you've done in the past, how your health is now, genetics, all this kind of stuff. But before you get into all that stuff that does have value, this is what I would do first before going extreme, because this is a very simple fix of just making sure you're doing your due diligence of reducing the amount of air. Another thing that you can also do is, if you find yourself having a huge variety of food choices, or eating out a lot is the main one. If you're eating out a lot, I've noticed that there could be a margin of error of 30 to 50% of the macronutrient or caloric intake that you're actually eating, right? Like I said, that might be fine for like one meal, but all of a sudden you do it like multiple times a day, every day. That could add up where it's pulling you out of that deficit, and you're putting in all this hard work of like tracking and going to the gym and all this stuff, and then you go to the end of the week and you look the same. That's not fun. And it's not fun, especially because you feel like you've been putting in all this hard work, so then you start blaming other people or your coach or whatever. But the reality of it is, it's an indirect, or it could be an indirect factor that we might not even be aware of right now. And that's why I'm making this video, because not a lot of people talk about this. Not a lot of people talk about the things that are not sexy and all that kind of stuff, like all the different types of diets and blah, blah, blah. Like, this is very simple, and it's like tedious with the accuracy of tracking, but it is the common denominator of you losing weight, I promise you. So anyways, guys, that is my spiel about a huge, big indirect factor that might be halting your fat loss. I would give this a try. I would reduce, if you're finding this problem, to reduce the amount of food variety that you're having. That might eliminate some variables too, because there is a margin of error on like nutrient labels and stuff like that. There really isn't a lot because the FDA has to regulate it. But the reality of it is, if you know what's going in your body and you stay consistent to it with some food rotations that are simple for a week, just for a week, to see if that starts to pull you downwards, then you know that in previous weeks there was some discrepancy, there's some margin of error that we don't know about, and I wouldn't worry about. But going forward, we have more control over it. We eliminate the margin of error, human error, the systematic error of the configuration for the food scale. Make sure you test that out, replace your batteries or zero them out or whatever it is. Just make sure that all your tools that you're using is helping you go in the right direction. So anyways, guys, that's it for this video. We have more coming, so if you have any questions of why you're not losing weight, how to gain muscle, how to increase your performance in the gym, you're not feeling well, you're tired, whatever it is, comment below or shoot me an email at austin@apperform.com, all one word, all lowercase. I'd love to hear from you. Also on Instagram, my Instagram is Austin Paulson Fitness. I'd love to follow you back, get to know you. And then my website is being kind of reconstructed right now. It's still up. It's www.apperform.com, but I just have a bunch of testimonials and a bunch of stuff on there that I feel like I need to update, modernize, make it look better. But you can check it out. And within there, if you're looking for a coach or looking for somebody to help you with your journey to make it a lot more specialized, one-on-one, customized, like exactly what you need, exactly what you're looking for a game plan, there is an application link on my website or on my Instagram. It'll just have you fill out some questions, schedule a call with me, and we will go through everything. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I will talk to you next time.